it's not too bad. It's fairly firm underneath. There's a very slight breeze blowing towards to my right, but it probably shouldn't affect the game too much.
Who do you think will win, Jamie?
The heart says Glenorchy, but I think the brain may take over here. North Launceston, I think.
Jamie Cox going for North Launceston. Bob Keddie.
I think North Launceston have set themselves well for this game. I think their midfield's a little bit too good.
And Chris?
Glenorchy will surprise today. They'll beat North Launceston.
Footy tipping is to be that certain amongst it is to be a very tenuous occupation. I'm going for North Launceston.
You called it well before, Rob. It's the tipster's nightmare today.
Yeah,
really, and quite a number of games that are up for grabs. This is one of them.
Well, it's the North Launceston side kicking left of screen. Glenorchy going to the right of screen. The umpire's having a few problems attracting the attention of the siren sounder here. Still he goes.
The game started a bit earlier today, and perhaps the timekeeper hasn't turned up.
Well, we've got to be off air by 4:30. This is... here we go, we're away.
And he's awake.
Round 7 of the statewide league. Should be a good one, this one, between the Maggies and the Robins. And it's an even old first ruck contest. Here's Barwick, that excellent player, kicking around on the wing, diving attempt at the mark. Wasn't taken by McSherry. Ball in dispute on centre wing. There's a bit of a clash of bodies here. Dunstan was involved. Hawkins, he's bumped off the kick and it's gone out of bounds into the canteen. And we'll have a Glenorchy kick. Any assessment on the breeze, Bob?
Well, I don't think it's going to have much effect in the game. Certainly not in the first half.
Jordan from half-back heads towards the half-forward line. Mansfield up high, couldn't take it. Free kick there to Glenorchy, no. Scrum develops. Tottenham working hard. Take us away to the side.
It's very tight and very tired early, Bob. Lots of players throwing themselves at the ball, trying to get that first break. Glenorchy have been in control, but they haven't been able to get it past their centre line, really. Cremascotham, he couldn't get his kick in, but he's picked up a free kick for pushing the back.
Well, very, very touchy one in the opening minutes of the game. It's unfortunate we couldn't let it go.
Good umpiring because it brings it on, brings it out in the open. Cremascotham goes to the centre half forward. Chug was a flyer, couldn't quite bring it down. He batters up very nicely. He's going the wrong way. He hooks it around the corner. Struthers there with a chance. He'll take the mark with a free kick. And Todd Struthers, one of the Glenorchy's up-and-comers, got a big job in the back line.
Looks a bit like Danny Southern, Chris.
Oh, what a terrible comment. Barwick from the kick from Struthers in the Jordan direction. Proctor does well and punches it down. Simpson, the dangerous centre man, he goes long in the Gibson direction. Gibson, a great mark.
Kicked the winning goal last week on the siren, and it was a real pressure kick, and he didn't let the fans down.
We'll have a look at Jason Gibson on screen there. He's a very, very skillful player, particularly with his kicking at goal.
Might be a fraction too far out. Gibson goes long. I think he's done very well. That breeze is playing heavy with the ball, Bob.
Well, I think the pleasing aspect there was that he was able to kick a goal from beyond 50 metres. And we don't often see that, certainly in our television games this year. We haven't seen that happen very often. Proctor did well, punched the ball away from Jordan there, disciplined football. Gibson just checking to see that Millwood wasn't coming out to take that ball. And as Smyth said, wouldn't make the distance.
Yep.
Cleared it by about 10 metres.
Good judge, Chris Smyth. That has just about gone to Smithton, and there you have it. First blood to North Launceston. What can Glenorchy do? Careless out of the centre, quickly into full forward. No free kick. Chance here for Barwick. There's the reply. Oh, he's missed it, has he? No, he's put it through. So a very quick answering goal to Glenorchy. Good roving. A bit unfortunate back there for North Launceston. Was it Mansell who got a bad bounce?
You'll see the ball come out of the midfield, and that's where it's going to be won today, certainly, and it goes over the top of the back, probably a free kick there. And it was Davies, the player, Craig Davies in the back pocket, who really should have done a little bit better to try and trap that ball. An easy goal to Glenorchy, so we're all squared up.
Great start. 5 minutes gone and scores a level. Away come North Launceston with a chance there through Dunstan. But I think Glenorchy picked up a free kick. It's a bit slippery out there on the surface. Feeding off to Atkin. Atkin spears a pass in the Cox direction. He's out in front of his opponent in Chug. Kept it in very nicely with good skills. Queen's a chance. His left-hand handball couldn't find McSherry. And the North Launceston defenders there in numbers take it across.
They've opened it pretty well, Glenorchy. They are really getting the numbers to the ball. There's a couple of free kicks paid early in the game, which indicates the umpires are going to try and control this very early.
Matty McQueen back in the side. Matty Queen and Proctor. No one wins it. Very scrambly, very tight. Proctor does well again. Puts it out to Lewis. He in turn finds Dunstan. Taking it through now. Dunstan has a bounce. He goes long. Gibson's the target. He's too good for Struthers. Kimmy X will have to do something soon. He's taken the top handball to Cassidy. He slips over. Glenorchy back in numbers. Kicking the wrong way. He's been taking lessons from Matty McCartan. I think he was being touched, but what a terrible kick.
And Darren McConnell.
Well, I just hope that the North Launceston players haven't underestimated the surface on this ground, because there are a number of players have fallen over already.
Well, we saw it from Matt. Here he is, Darren McConnell. And he won't be happy with himself either, because it went nowhere near the goals, did it? I mean,
Gee, he's a solid boy, isn't he?
he is. Big, strong lad by the looks of him. North Launceston threatening here, as is Jason Gibson. And the Glenorchy player there in Struthers, all wrapped up. So 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, and one straight goal each. Chug wins it. Here's Timmy Carr for Glenorchy. Careless, bumped off it. The Robins into attack again, but backing back is Barwick. And Barwick takes an excellent mark.
Barwick kicked the first goal for Glenorchy, their only goal. He goes to the 50-metre zone. North Launceston there in numbers again, and Cremascothan receiving a spearing pass.
Marcus Todman, who's got the job on Matthew Mansfield in the midfield, was just able to get that ball out of that contest and found Cremascothan on a good lead. It was short, but Cremascothan's a very good kick, and he's only got about 30 to 35 metres to reach the main sticks.
Steen Cremascothan, North Launceston veteran. Beautiful kick. He brings up North Launceston's second goal. They're 2 goals straight, 12, to Glenorchy's 1 straight 6.
Well, they are kicking towards the slight advantage that the Breeze has here at KG5, so they're going to have to take advantage of that early in the game. And you saw Todman come away there and just spear a little left foot pass in. He's not only a very good tagger in football, but he does have good ground skills, and he does run the distances too.
So a goal in it. Proctor charging hard at it. Jordan creates a path for Barwick, who fumbled.
It's caught a bit high.
Well, I think you'll find that the player fell back in with the ball there and was pulled onto it by... So there's no free kick there.
Newsflash, the sun is shining. And it comes to Ben Atkin. Atkin straight up the middle. Oh, good mark here has been taken by Pyle for Glenorchy. Takes his time. It was an open forward line. Pyle tries to drive it long. Byrne was the flyer. Davies, beautifully tackled by McSherry, who emerges with the footy. Well done, young man. Simpson back to centre of the ground, and a good mark here has been taken by Kremer.
Well, they really did well there to get it out of defence, because Glenorchy looked almost a Monty to get a goal then.
Rhys Jones for his first touch from the handball from Cremascothan in the Mansell direction, coming out with Struthers. Gibson does very well to Chug. Chug can go over the top. He finds Olds, and all on his own in the goal square. Oh, brilliantly cut across by Barwick.
Gee, terrific defence, wasn't it? Because it was certainly going to be a goal. But North Launceston, they moved the ball well from half back there. Accuracy at goal today is going to be crucial for both sides.
Carr goes long, out past the 50-metre zone. Jordan dropped what he could have taken, really. North Launceston there in numbers, happy to bottle it up. And the umpire calls for a bounce. Both sides just feeling their way a bit at the moment.
Yes, they are, and probably the outstanding player at this stage would probably be Gibson across half forward.
Here come the Robins. Longman does well to give it to Barwick, who's also started very nicely. His kick's a very poor one. Proctor does nicely, couldn't quite hang on to it. Good handballs again to Reece Jones. Reece Jones on the left foot, goes long. Olds is a chance, over everyone's head. Gibson keeps his feet. Will it bounce right for him? Gibson into an open goal. Number 3 for the Robins.
Well, we just mentioned the influence that Jason Gibson was having on this game, and straight away he didn't let us down. But Proctor did it well. Simpson, quick hands, and that's the key to the midfield. Got it out to Sanders, and Sanders' left foot taken over the back of the pack. Graham Olds was the player who flew in that contest for North Launceston, and Gibson, ever the opportunist. And they might have to do something about him. Struthers is struggling a little bit.
As he would, Struthers, a young footballer finding his feet in the TFL. Jason Gibson certainly been there and done that as far as statewide league football is concerned. The Magpies, a high kick to half forward, but sitting underneath it and taking an excellent mark is Hawkins for the Robins. Scott Hawkins, with Reece Jones patrolling centre-half back where he won his Norm Smith medal on Brereton in 87. Long kick to half forward. Olds has been creative. Well, McSherry was a bit uncertain. Here's Simpson in towards half forward again. Gibson almost played that. He might get it again, Gibson. Struthers all over him, and Gibson's going to get a free kick.
Well, it's a pity we couldn't see the previous marking contest there, because 5 Glenorchy players contested the ball in the air against 1 North Launceston player, and that's what resulted in the ball going into the North Launceston forward line.
Well, Gibson, who kicked 4 last week, including the match winner, certainly looks to be back to his best, which can only be terrific news for North Launceston's fans. And Gibson has put it straight through the centre. The Robins doing everything right at the moment, and they've raced away to a 19-point lead. 4-1 to 1 straight.
Jason Gibson has created enormous problems for the coaching bench at the moment. Simpson, good quick kick out of a pack there under pressure. Gibson probably should have been paid the mark in the first instance, or a free kick anyway. Struthers tackling hard, took him a little bit too high, and that was what the free kick was paid for. One interesting thing too, Graham Funt, ex-president of North Launceston, he is now one of the trainers for Launceston, in number 13. You might spot him.
That's fantastic news. I look for him all day. Glenorchy trying to manufacture something. They've allowed North Launceston to skip away a bit in the first 10 minutes of this quarter. A 19-point lead to the Robins, and they are looking very impressive. Jordan, he couldn't quite win it down. Newitt does well, onto his left. A bit up and down the kick. In best position there is the North Launceston Sanders, but he slips over at the vital moment. Burns a chance, spins around nicely, and then falls over.
Well, it would be an interesting statistic at the end of the day to see count the number of players who fall over on this surface because of the lack of correct footwear.
Rick, get onto that, please.
Bringing it away is Simpson. He's found the boundary line. Look, Bob, when you were playing, it was all just screw and stops because they didn't have moulded soles in those days, but the players find moulded soles far more comfortable.
It might be comfortable, but there's a difference between being in comfort and being able to get the ball and turn with it and deliver it.
I take comfort every time. Here comes North Launceston. Their half-back line's doing extremely well. Out charging out was Chug. He couldn't quite grab it on the half volley. Oh, through comes Mansell and must have given away a free kick. Very crude.
In fact, it was Wayne Cassidy who gave away the free kick, just as well he's not called David. In towards the centre of the ground. North Launceston 19 in front. They're getting in first to the ball, the Robins. Although they're kicking with the breeze. Here's Newitt in towards half forward, which is vacant at the moment. It's a bit proppy. Mansfield for his first touch. He normally does something constructive. Gets it to Barwick. Back to Mansfield from 55. Assesses his options, but goes into a nest of Robins. O'Neill, Chris Smyth's favourite, lumbering after it. He might get there on the second or third effort. Sits on Jordan. Still the umpire lets it go, and it's been forced over the line. Boundary throw in, sorry, Bob.
Chris Hill's the player there on screen who just tapped it out of play, and brother of the Essendon player.
And, of course, they've got Wes Lewis, brother of Dale Lewis for the Swans, so certainly an AFL connection there. Family ties, so to speak.
Craig Davies, another one. Brother played with St Kilda.
Matthew Mansfield has played.
Yes.
AFL
Scott
football.
Jordan, Fitzroy reserves.
Well, we could go on all day, couldn't we, really? I think you are. True. Proctor, he's well tackled. Glenorchy a chance here if they can gain possession. North Launceston intent on stopping that. Still inside 50. Queen goes over. Mansfield win it to man rather than the footy. Newitt dives on it. And North Launceston have got it outside 50, which I suppose is something of a minor battle.
It's a real struggle in the contest at the moment. Both sides having trouble trying to get some sort of system going once they get the ball released from the packs.
Lots of players around the ball. Good tap from Proctor, finds Rhys Jones, and here comes North Launceston. Good skills there from Olds on his left foot. Oh, and well left by Cassidy. Just dragged his hands down to Chug. Chug feeds it off quickly. The handball's a poor one. Puts his teammate on a crevice, skating under lots of pressure. And through comes Glenorchy. Good handball out to Pyle. Pyle streams down the KG5 centre wing. Goes long. Barwick 3 deep. Couldn't quite grab it. He recovers well. So too does Byrne. Gives it across to Jordan. The umpire's called play on. The player stopped there for a minute. Mansfield was ridden in the back. He picks up nicely. A good long handball. Feeds Cox in space. Cox on his left foot in the Byrne direction. Simon Byrne!
She's a good player. He impresses me because he doesn't just do the work from the goal square. A moment ago we saw him about 40 metres from goal, really working hard in the contest. Chris Hills is going to have to do an enormous amount of work to try and stop his leads.
Byrne opens up the angle. I think he's missed.
Well, I would have thought that he would have taken a little bit more time with that, because goals at that end of the ground today are going to be crucial. They really are team lifters, particularly for Glenorchy.
That would have lifted them too, Bob, because it was certainly their best passage after the hand pass from Mansfield and a good long kick from Stephen Cox. But they get another chance now as Atkin gathers possession in the centre of the ground. Goes out looking for Gary Barwick, but he's beaten to it there by Sam Dunstan, who keeps it in. Olds, gets it to Dunstan. Advantage should be paid here if he's quick, which he is. Look at the racehorse go. Atkin doesn't get him. Dunstan kicking towards the middle. And I think that'll have to be a mark paid here to Scott Hartle, who goes out wide, looking here for the running Ben Careless. Bit of dash out of defence. Standards up a bit in the last couple of minutes. Simpson, good grab. Flying past him is Sanders. Danger here for Glenorchy. Sanders in towards full forward. Chance here for the Robins. Good defensive work from Holmes as he was under all sorts of pressure there. Gets it to Longman. Longman does the sensible thing and tries to find the boundary line. Doesn't quite get there. Wes Lewis picks it up. Goes short. Doesn't find his target here at Mansell. Mansell gets rid of it. Chug. Lewis again. On it goes. Where are the high flies? Gibson. Terrific effort.
A little bit lucky. You might see it on replay here, but a bit of a shove out. And just, he really did well to take the mark, kept his eyes on the ball, and took the full brunt of Scott Hartle coming over the top of that pack.
And what about the strength? Because he was sort of in a squat position almost on one of those bench press things, and a squat press, and he still took the mark.
Low centre of gravity, a Lee Matthews trait.
This for goal number 4, and Jason Gibson is on absolute fire.
Well, he's obviously the catalyst again this week, because they've got a bit of a problem with Nick Millwood at full forward. He doesn't really have a lot of pace, and on 2 occasions in the last 5 minutes he has slipped in his approach to the ball, in trying to twist. Gibson very, very good on the pivot, very strong in the legs, and really does have tremendous balance. So we might see a change there soon.
I'd suggest if they don't, the game's all over.
Tony Struthers is a good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he tightened up a little bit, or tightened up a lot in fact, and came back hard at Gibson. Glenorchy here, they're coming through hard through the centre. A poor handball from Careless, who gives it straight to Hawkins. Hawkins goes in the Gibson direction. He's outpointed Struthers completely then. Gibson's short pass to Millwood, who probably should have taken that one. Here's a chance now for Cassidy. Can he pick it up? He can, but then he runs into Barwick. Drop the ball. McConnell comes through. So too does Hartle. Here's a chance for Newitt. Good hands out to Longman. But North Launceston in numbers. Chug can pick it up. He feeds it back in the Mansell direction. Mansell has time to steady. He goes long. Goes very well. It's a goal.
Well, that's a direct result of the efficiency of the North Launceston on-ball players, because they had support from their big players. Simpson was in there, just a little tap away to Chug, quick hands out to find Mansell, just steadied and balanced, chipped it out to the right of the goal post and used that breeze to bring it back in. But the move for Struthers has already been made, and we'll find that Scott Hartle now has the job on Jason Gibson.
The Magpies very much undermanned today. It'll be interesting to see if they can come back in the second quarter when they've got the breeze, but they're back certainly against the wall at the moment, and we're only 19 minutes in, and North Launceston come again. It's kicked up towards full forward. Olds is lurking, but Carr's back there as well, and he's heading for the safety of the behind area. He's forced it over the line, but symbolic of the way that things are going at the moment, really, with North Launceston, the one doing all the attacking, and the Magpies trying to stem the tide, as it were. So it's Carr at full-back. He's got Barwick on offer, but it'll favour the scoreboard side, which is the defensive area. Jordan just gets there before the ball goes over the line.
The Robins really putting the Magpies under some pressure. It's been all their way for the last 5 or 6 minutes, and here they come again. Cremascothan on their favourite left foot. Will it make the distance? Just a fraction to the left.
They really have got problems, Glenorchy, at the moment, because they just don't have the players in their makeup at the moment who have the ability to run the distances. North Launceston, you'll find that their midfielders in Simpson, Olds, Gibson, Lewis and these sorts of players will really run the lines, and that's the difference.
Carr brings it back in, again going to the defensive side. Jordan's the target. He couldn't quite mark it. Doing well there was Holmes. His quick right foot kick relieves the pressure somewhat. Careless is in good position. He does nicely to Atkin. Atkin on the left foot's got no one really to kick it to. McSherry does nicely. Held his ground. Feeds it off to Barwick. Peter Barwick has a bounce. It's very slippery out there, but he does well to control it. He centres the ball. A very, very good grab by McConnell. Oh, not paid. The umpire didn't pay it. Reece Jones butters up nicely. He feeds it out. It's a chance for Sanders. Glenorchy in numbers. Barwick, who's been everywhere this quarter. His kick is smothered. McConnell does nicely. His handball to Cox puts Cox under lots of pressure. And it's out of bounds.
Well, I'd say that was a pretty courageous decision not to pay that mark. But it certainly was there.
Look to have it. But Proctor and Queen do battle. Barwick, who really has played well for Glenorchy, on his left foot. Ooh. The umpire a bit slow in blowing that one.
Well, being on his left foot, he held the ball in his left hand and took it over the boundary line. So probably not conscious exactly as to exactly where the line was.
Within the 50 zone for Glenorchy, they really need a major score to just bridge that gap. It's ballooned out to 32 points. Or 3 or 4 players up for Glenorchy, not really disciplined. Here's a chance for Newitt. His handball to Barwick. Barwick rides a bump. He's caught a bit high. A bit too far out to score. We'll look to move it very quickly. As he says, as he takes an eternity. His handball over the top. Finds Careless in the end. Careless again goes over the top to McSherry. McSherry running away from goals. Spears it across. And a good little pass. Finds Wesley Pyle within kicking distance.
Glenorchy can really thank Peter Barwick for being involved in this first quarter, because he's done all the work. He's had no real support from anybody else. Far too many people going for marks in the contests.
Pyle, a very important kick. He's pushed it to the right. For Glenorchy's second behind.
And they've been too costly behinds, haven't they? Because Pyle and Byrne really should have kicked those goals. And, you know, only 3 goals down at quarter time. It's not so bad against the breeze, but as it is, they're in real strife, trailing by 5 goals. And Reece Jones playing pretty good football across half-back, where you suspect that he can really control a game of football in the TFL. He kicks in towards the middle. It was all Glenorchy there, but they didn't talk. Cremascothan rose. Hurried kick to half forward. Battle here between Chug and Holmes. Holmes does okay, and Longman in support there for Glenorchy, but he gives it away too easily as it's been taken by Mansell, who gets it to Simpson. Simpson out wide to Dale Chugg. Chugg lopes in towards goal. Centering kick to full forward. Where's Gibson? He's kicked 4. Kremer kept going from his kick from the centre. The Robins still a chance. Gibson looking for the free kick, won't get it. Olds goes back. Chance now for Dunstan. Good little pass, but it's been cut off here by Cox, who kept going. He might lose it if he's not careful. No, he's okay. So Cox goes in towards Jordan as we approach the 24.5-minute mark of the first quarter. Glenorchy 6-3. Rather, North Launceston 6-3. Glenorchy 1-2. Problems for the Maggies. Careless and going board here towards Pyle. He does just that. Atkin, plenty of youngsters for the Magpies. Careless kept going. It's kicked into the forward pocket. Can they manufacture something? No, they can't. And big Chris Hills out towards the wing. A lovely kick. Finds his teammate here, Dunstan. Hasn't he got some toe? But his geographical skills aren't that flash because he went straight over the line in space. And we'll have a boundary throwing.
I'd like to know where he comes from. I haven't seen him play before, but he's got terrific pace, hasn't he?
Great balance.
Does look a very good player. Barwick from the good tap from Jordan to Atkins, kicks a poor one, puts Careless under lots of pressure. North Launceston again with the numbers, this time for Simpson. He goes long to the wing, holds his feet nicely. Barwick does well again, and coming through his car. Car was pushed in the back and must get a free kick. But North Launceston forwards putting some pressure on the Glenorchy defenders, and that's the difference at the moment.
It's a big breeze though.
Carr goes in short. Queen never really had a chance. Barwick has been everywhere. Can he pick it up? Running along in front of him. Couldn't quite get it in the end. Holmes dives in. Lots of players around the ball. Coming through was Olds. His handball over the top just didn't quite work. Carr taps it through to Barwick. Very scrambly. Must have been about 14 players around the ball then.
I think about 14 of them touched it too.
What do you think of the breeze is worth? I mean, it doesn't look a sort of a windy, breezy, gaily sort of a day, but the kicks are certainly being effective.
Oh, yes, they are at this stage, and it might get worse as the day goes on too.
Perhaps it's the atmospheric pressure of Glenorchy, who knows? On centre wing. Chance for the Magpies to snavel one just before quarter time. It'll be handy. As would another couple for the Robins, who are certainly in control at this stage, and they've played the more polished footy, with Gibson absolutely starring in the first quarter with his 4 goals. Jordan thumps it down towards Atkin. Dunstan gets there first. Back to Hawkins, who is sandwiched. Good hand pass over the top though to Brett Mansell. And here come the Robins. Mansell up in the direction of Chugg, but backing back there, taking a good mark is young Nathan Longman. And isn't there some young talent in this Glenorchy side? Because today the Robins are without Michael Stiles, O'Dwyer, Klug, Goss, Goulet and Hall, all from their top 20. So if they get close to the Robins this afternoon, it'll be a pretty good effort. And if they win, a huge fillip for this young club. Hardle was in trouble and they've lost it on centre wing. Chugg gets it to Simpson. Simpson to Rhys Jones. He normally does something constructive. Look at the pass, it's a beauty. Oh, but his teammate couldn't hang on to the mark. It was Nick Millwood. Still they go, the Robins. Millwood battling away, and the umpire lets it go sensibly. Davies, the back pocket player, what's he doing there? Snapping towards goal. Which way will it bounce? Not the direction of the goals. And another North Launceston behind.
Gee, that kick from David Rhys Jones was spot on, wasn't it? Nick Millwood really should have hung on to that. The play was set up beautifully from defence. Magnificent kick out in front of the leading player.
Carr kicks to himself to bring it back into play. His kick puts his teammate Newitt under lots of pressure. Cox does nicely. He gives it across there to Queen, who runs out of space and then runs into trouble and is pinned for holding the ball. Kremer gets on with it quickly. He goes long in the Millwood direction. Coming over the top is Holmes, who punches it well. That's out of bounds. The North Launceston forward line's very open.
Well, they've done it that way, and they're able to do it because they've got such a strong midfield group of players who can run the ball in and set it up.
Chugg on Holmes. Holmes does well. Feeds out the back to Cox. Searching for someone to kick it to. Barwick's the only opportunity, but Davies is too tall and in best position. Across to Proctor. Proctor on his left. It's a bit of a dribbly old kick, but does well as Lewis. Lewis feeds it out to his teammate, who couldn't quite get the handball again, but in numbers, Mansell, who feeds it out to Scothen. Scothen to Lewis. Glenorchy back there. McSherry trying to relieve the pressure. Barks his target. Again, too long for him, and Davies picks it up, centres the ball well. Steen Kremiskothen, 52 metres out. His 7th kick, he goes in the Millwood direction. Gibson from behind.
Well, I mean, there was a mark taken last night in the AFL, Carey coming from behind, and he took it from a long way, almost like a basketball shot at goal, where he leapt from a long distance from where the ball was going to drop. Gibson did exactly that, and no one expected him to come from there.
For goal number 5, what a great quarter it would be if he got it. He's hit the post. Oh.
Well, Gibson's just played one of the great quarters of TFL football. It's not often you see 4 goals scored in one quarter, and he could have kicked 5, as you so obviously saw there. But a great quarter of football by North Launceston as well, as Jason Gibson leads the troops into the quarter-time huddle. And North Launceston and Jason Gibson can be well pleased with their efforts, because the Robins 6-5-41 leading Glenorchy 1-8 at quarter-time. And well, I think they just showed us why they're on top of the ladder, really.
Peter Barwick was Glenorchy's only player in terms of his capacity to work from one end of the ground to the other, to get underneath the packs and try and set some sort of system up. Whereas you had, and Mansfield was a player who was very well held by Todman. He's such a critical player for them. Dunstan was impressive, I thought, for North Launceston. We've talked about Gibson on the forward line. Nick Millwood is obviously the key target, but Gibson is working very, very well across half forward and giving him a running target. And he's a player that you can't underestimate. David Rees-Jones would be just talking to his players, explaining to them that the next quarter is going to be very critical, because they will have that slight breeze against them. And well, he'd be very pleased with the way they went about it that quarter.
Certainly looks pretty pleased. Here are the other scores now. Great round this, round 7. Clarence well in control, as you'd expect, over Launceston. North Hobart and Sandy Bay, very close, that one at league headquarters, just a point in it. And there's not much in the game between New Norfolk and Devonport. You imagine conditions there would be pretty breezy. And South, 15 points up over Hobart. There's some real problems in the Tigers camp. It's quarter time here at KG5 with North Launceston 6-5-41, Glenorchy 1-8, but the Magpies going with the breeze. Back with the second quarter in just a few moments.
We'll return to the football shortly, but now let's update AFL, and we start with last night's match, where Geelong has defeated North Melbourne by 61 points at the MCG. Gary Ablett posted 7 goals for the Cats. Final score 20-140 to the Kangaroos 12-7-79.
As always for sides playing Geelong, the number one concern is shutting down Gary Ablett. North tried John Longmire without much success. The Roos still made plenty of the early running though. Wayne Carey kicking to Corey McKernan's advantage.
It's going to sit beautifully, I think, for McKernan. It's a goal!
When Mark Roberts picked up Carey in the second quarter, North Melbourne booted out to a 23-point lead.
Carey at the back, good mark. Timed it beautifully. Geelong gathered the ball.
With half-time approaching, the Cats all but wiped out the deficit. Lee Tudor's desperation inspiring, as was the finish from Gary Hocking.
Gary Hocking, off the right boot goes Gary Hocking. It's a goal to the Cats.
For much of the night, he was outshone by teammate Ablett, but on this occasion, Bill Brownless was peerless.
Billy Brownless has got it.
Tudor remained constructive after the break as Ablett decided it was gloves off time.
Pocket Tudor loves this position. Short kick, Ablett has marked again.
The Cats kicked 13 goals to 4 in the second half, North humiliated by the 61-point margin.
He runs through the centre arrogantly, if you don't mind, and Scholl kicks to the 50-metre line. Another Geelong goal, kicked by Hickbott. It's raining goals for Geelong.
And there's 3 matches being played this afternoon at the MCG. Essendon 2-12, leading Footscray with the 1 goal so far. At Waverley, St Kilda has the early jump on Carlton, and AFL moves to Canberra this afternoon because Fitzroy and West Coast are playing at the Bruce Stadium. West Coast leading 1-1-7. Back now to the TFL.
Thanks very much there, Karen. Some interesting results in the AFL, and we've got an interesting one here at KG5 with North Launceston doing particularly well in that first quarter. 6 goals, 5-41 to Glenorchy's 1-2-8. And Jason Gibson has been an absolute star for the Robins. Gibson, the William Leach medalist from a couple of years back, has kicked 4 of North Launceston's 6 goals. Quickly, Bob, the stats?
Well, there isn't a great deal of difference between the two sides as far as stats are concerned. 10 kicks more in favour of North Launceston. Just interrupt you there, Bob. Look at this. David Rhys-Jones signing an autograph going back onto the field. I think that is absolutely marvellous. That's community football at its best, isn't it, really? One of the interesting points about David Rhys-Jones and a number of other North Launceston players was that they were changing their boots at quarter time. All right, thanks very much, Bob. We might now, while we've got a chance, go down to Jamie Cox on the boundary line because play's just about to get underway. Jamie.
Thanks, Rob. Just a quick word on that breeze. It is definitely favouring the end that Glenorchy are kicking. It's not strong, but it's probably worth 2 or 3 goals. So this will be interesting this quarter. Both camps fairly positive. Kim Exel said they can get back into it this quarter if they really put their minds to it. David Rhys-Jones also very happy and highlighted the talking as a fantastic aspect.
And there you have it. The windsock's not exactly full steam ahead at the moment, is it? But
not jumping out of its skin, is it, really?
But, unlike you, Bob, you were very toey before this game.
I think it's still going to be a great contest. North Launceston have to work very hard this quarter to maintain their ascendancy.
But the Maggies need a bit of a lift from some of their stars and some input from their state players like Mansfield, who's got it now, and Byrne, who he might kick it to, would be of enormous benefit. Mansfield kicked Slews off the side. Wasn't a good kick. Rhys-Jones lost the footy for a while. Jordan gets rid of Rhys-Jones. Well done, Jordan. Inboard to Cox, who's mown down. Chance though with Barwick. Head-high tackle. He's got to get it. And Peter Barwick really has just been inspirational today.
He's been terrific, and the reason for it is he's been prepared to put his body where the ball is, get in and under, and he's followed the ball around. He's worked from both ends of the ground, and very few other players from Glenorchy have done that. Big favourite out here at KG5 is Pete Barwick. And he comes from 15 metres. It's a beautiful kick and just what the doctor ordered for those mighty Maggies. Well, Rob, you're certainly getting carried away in this your last appearance for Tasmanian football on the ABC, which is a bit sad. But nonetheless, the ball coming in here and a good defensive contest. Scott Jordan was able to slip the tackle from David Rhys-Jones. The tackle there that we saw coming from Hawkins Sanders, was a bit indiscriminate. Barwick probably a little bit shorter than some of the players he's been used to tackling. Just got him a bit too high.
It's back in the middle, just what Glenorchy wanted. A goal to start the second quarter. Jason Hardle's on the ground. He taps it out now to McSherry. McSherry running backwards. Really got no one to kick it to and has to go to the safety of the boundary line. And he just finds it before the North Launceston defender in Chug could pick it up. I mean, Kimmy Exel's a huge rap for Peter Barwick. Just thinks he's a wonderful player. Was very keen to get him back to the club colours a couple of years ago. Pyle does nicely to Cox. Cox can go in the centre of the ground. Burns in position, so to his heels. Might bounce through. Coming through with Sanders. Rushed it for a point.
It's actually touched through. On both occasions, Glenorchy able to get the ball out of the midfield. And we talked before the game about the importance of their respective midfield players.
Queen down to ground. Proctor. Well, dribbles the kick. Wasn't a good one. Mansfield worried about where Todman was, and the kick's a poor one as a result. He was off balance there in his defence. Good news for Magpie fans, Bob, is that Gavin Stiles played in the ruck in the reserves today and looks his high-leaping normal self. I'd imagine with a bit more fitness, you'd expect Gavin to get back into the seniors pretty soon. Here's Todman. We took too long. Cox, who's played well in this second quarter, which will please our boundary commentator Jamie Cox, because Stephen Cox, of course, is his brother, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Smyth.
You're rarely mistaken, Rob.
You exaggerate. It's 2-3-15 the Maggies, North Launceston, the Robins 6-5-41. The Robins were tremendous in the first quarter. Olds worried out of it. Mansfield looks to be getting involved in this second quarter. Kicks to half forward. Pyle has been paid the mark, has he?
Goodness me.
Bit of anticipation there from the umpire, and a mistake there. Heads to half forward does Pyle. Hawkins, good hand pass over the top here, and away come North Launceston.
Through that star in Dunstan. Good left foot. Puts it down in front of Millwood. Can he pick it up? Hot on his hammer is his opponent. There in Stephen Moore, who's come onto the ground. Feeds it back to Dunstan. Dunstan doesn't mind the bounce. Into an open goal. Oh, great play. He's kicked a great goal.
I just think it's exciting to see a player come on the scene that we haven't seen.
Who is he?
Yeah, well, I'd love to know where he came from, because generally speaking, players of his calibre, if he can play like this every week, certainly you'd get to know him, but he's certainly going to worry some opposition teams, and running off that wing, he's got terrific pace, and to kick a goal from that angle, particularly at this ground, is an exceptional effort. Well done.
Oh, he did it on the bit. He's a left footer, and they're always excellent kicks of the footy.
He's
Great
tall,
balance.
too. He's tall. That's his real secret, I think. Tall and quick.
A bit like you, Chris. 2-3 to 7-5. The Magpies with a bit of work in front of them now. But they look a bit more competitive. But here's that man, Dunstan, again. Future William Leach medalist, perhaps. Going to settle down now. He's only had about 6 or 7 kicks, but they've all been good ones. Gibson, who has won a William Leach and has been starring today. Out to Kremer. He should lose it there. He took just a little too long.
If Jason Gibson has a deficiency in his game, it's his decision-making with his handball.
Queen at half-back takes a good mark. Cox, who goes out wide to Gary Barwick. In space now. This looks promising for the Magpies as he heads to half-forward. Oh, the umpire's done it again. He's picked out a free kick to Pyle, who got a big shove on the back. As Jordan and David Rees-Jones say a few words. Jordan's just done the best job on your life there for the North Launceston defenders, because he's slowed it up and they're all covered. Except Barwick. No, late on the scene was Byrne, who hasn't had a very good day so far. Here's Dunstan. Heads for the boundary line. Will he find it? Well, he might pick the footy up himself and keep on going, which is what he does. Dunstan round the wing. McSherry. He's shepherded out of it. Chance here for Mark Chuck, the older brother of Dale. Certainly there's a family resemblance there. And Mark playing with the Robins this year from one of the minor leagues up in the north.
Played for Mowbray Heights, I'm reliably advised. Lewis pumps North Launceston long into attack. Dale Chuck keeps his feet at the final moment, falls over. A good handball out there from Holmes finds Barwick under lots of pressure. He goes back in the McConnell direction, the Hartle direction, and Hartle does very well to spear a pass. Fortunately for him, it was missed by Simpson. Queen just hovers over the ball. Could be penalised.
Good decision, that. Ball was trapped between his legs, his arms were pinned. No opportunity to get rid of it.
Queen and Proctor. Proctor's done very well. Mansfield was starting to come into the game a bit this quarter. He feeds a handball out to Newitt. Coming through is McSherry. The ball's very slippery. Mansfield just pile drive into the ground by Proctor.
It was a poor effort, that. Could clearly see that happening.
Mansfield's short pass to Jordan was easily intercepted by Sanders. And they're breaking down a bit at the half-back line.
Sanders in towards the centre of the ground. Looks and gets Proctor. Proctor out wide, up to half forward, looking for Gibson, and why wouldn't you? Kremesko then controls it with the basketball dribble, then kicks it in towards full forward. Holmes back there, and gee, that was a dangerous situation for him, and could be. Desperately trying to keep the ball from going in for a point. Perhaps he just lost his bearings there for a second or two. Queen and Holmes over the top. Danger here for the Magpies as North Launceston threatened. Gary Barwick, a good little hand pass. Finds David Newitt. And Newitt in towards the centre of the ground, where Ben Careless comes on it. Gets a good bounce and then works it round towards half forward. Rees-Jones, the defensive fist. He's been terrific back there. Simpson out wide. Looks for Dunstan. They better man it up because this is emerging star of the TFL, this young player. Dunstan up towards the half-forward line, looking for Dale Chugg. Barwick's back there for the Magpies. Oh, he takes plenty of time, and why not? He's got it. Gary Barwick in towards the centre square area. players having trouble with their footing again. Simpson bowls over, Atkin comes again, and we'll have a bounce on centre wing.
Have a look at the stops on the players on your screen at the moment, and if I was a coach, I'd be absolutely red hot at half time for the number of players who have got short stops on this ground.
Particularly those that fall over. I know it was Andy Bennett's one of his favourite aspects of the ground when you were playing in the wet conditions. He demanded that you wear long stops. Hartle, he pumps Glenorchy the half-forward line. A terrific leap there from Byrne, who may be getting 50. But Simon Byrne, his first real or second real touch at it. 2 very good marks. He's kicked 1 point. He's a long way out. But he is a good kick. Byrne for about 55. He goes long. Goes very long. Jordan's in the goal square. So too is Sanders for North Launceston, and they punch it through for a point.
You look at the way Simon Byrne set himself up there. He went back about 5 or 6 paces and ran straight at the goals. As a full forward, generally speaking, you really set yourself to kick a goal.
Long kick out towards David Rees-Jones, who I think will be a great player for them at centre-half back this year if he stays there. Kicks it up towards half-forward where the old centre-half back could have taken a mark. Old's underneath him, roves it beautifully, then kicks to half-forward superbly to Jason Gibson. That's a great passage from the Robins. Gibson plays on, called to play on. It works okay because downfield they've got a mark.
Nick Melwood playing in front. His first real opportunity. He's worked hard at the full forward position, just hasn't been able to hold his feet. But on that occasion, he had the front position early, as did Jason Gibson, as did David Rees-Jones.
So the tall, young Nick Melwood has kicked another one for North Launceston, who are running away with this contest against the breeze.
The ball comes out from defence from David Rees-Jones in order to get to Nick Melwood. And it came off Chug's hands, and Simpson and Olds were the players. Olds with the ball there, rode brilliantly off the pack, chipped it out in front of Gibson, into the space. Gibson a little bit hesitant, not quite sure what to do again, but at least he saw a player and picked the best option.
Well, Gibson really did time his lead to perfection then, and the fact that he was quick moving into the forward line gave Melwood a chance. And here they come again. Chug from a good handball from Todman. Across there was Olds. No one can really pick it up. Olds speeds it out nicely. Here's a chance for Olds. 35 out. He squares it up to Melwood. From the back was Gibson, who was taken very high. Chug recovers nicely. Well tackled by Careless. Moore looking for the safety of the boundary line. Melwood's there again. He feeds it back in nicely. Lots of pressure from both sides. Mansell's down there, so is Mansell. Good hands. Here's that Dunstan. He couldn't quite pick it up. Very scrambling, the umpire must bounce, but lots of pressure there.
Well, I reckon that you ought to give a medal to all those North Launceston forwards for the way they trapped that ball in there. They were under enormous pressure and they just kept at it.
Playing good football, North Launceston. They have it in their attacking area again. Here's Simpson. Off to Kremer-Scoven. He's a long kick, Kremer. In towards goal. It's close. He's put it through for another one. North Launceston playing brilliant football at the moment. Kremer-Scoven certainly had an influence on this game. And look at that scoreline, looking pretty bleak for Glenorchy.
Glenorchy obviously deficient in the players around the ground, but you can put the goal down to the work that was done to keep it in that inside that 50-metre arc. And Simpson, the handball out to Kremer-Scoven. Always a good kick. Loves kicking a goal too, Kremer. But it really goes back to the workload of the forwards.
Jordan back on the ball to try and lift Glenorchy. Careless does well, but he's all wrapped up by Chug. They've been very good in the centre square, North Launceston.
We've just got too many players who are prepared to work hard at the base of the packs.
Jordan leaps high. His big punch goes to no one in particular. Hawkins does well, going backwards. In the end finds Rees-Jones. He's got some space out there again for Hawkins. Can he pick it up? He eventually does so. His handball to Dunstan was all Australian. Hartle was just dragged off the ball. The umpire calls play on. Queen runs in there and was very happy to see it over the line.
One of the things that North are doing very well is that they're getting a player without the ball, the player in support getting to the face of the player with the ball.
Barwick has been a bit quiet this quarter. He goes to Hartle, spins around, a blind kick And as you mentioned earlier, Rob, Reece Jones can be terrific in those sort of situations.
And the captain coach, who must be enjoying season 1995, picks out Mark Simpson, and Simpson goes long. Barwick with a courageous attempt. Opportunity now for Tim Carr, but he's conceding ground. And like you'll see in the World Cup Rugby Union, he tries to find touch, didn't make it. Proctor, good hand pass over the top to Olds, who's getting involved, and Olds goes short, finds Mark Chugg. Chugg in towards Loon on the field, and Loon has taken it in space and not without a chance from 45. So Loon, who got it from Lewis, from 45 metres. It's a good-looking kick. Once again, it's very close. And I think that's either been touched or hit the post or both. So a behind for North Launceston, but not much going on at the other end of the ground from a Glenorchy perspective. And with a 7-goal margin, they're in a lot of trouble, to say the least.
Matty Mansfield kicking out is an indication that they're in trouble, because normally he's a playmaker in the centre of the ground. His kick's a good one. McSherry kicks it backwards. Here's a real chance for North Launceston to set up something through Olds. He fell over. Doing well with Simpson. His kick round the corner. Carr couldn't quite grab it. Carr's got the job on Gibson now. Lots of pressure from the Glenorchy defenders. Carr just sort of like strolls after it. Very happy to see it out. They look a bit ragged, the Glenorchy.
I just don't think that you made the point about Matthew Mansfield being a playmaker. Well, you can't have him kicking the ball up from defence if that's what they want.
Jordan in front position. Barwick, he does nicely to Longman. Longman round the corner. Really a blind kick. Kremer Scothen from behind, couldn't quite grab it. Jordan comes bursting through. He gives it to Barwick. Barwick's got no one to kick it to. Just basically has to handball for the line. He didn't find it. Proctor does well. Inboard. Sanders to Jones. Reece Jones, chip over the top to Loon. And Loon has only been on a few minutes. Kicks it in the centre half forward zone. No one can take a mark. Lewis rows very well across to Chugg. Chugg with time. He kicks goalwards. Great teamwork.
It's the way North Launceston is setting the play up. They're using players, they're getting them on the defensive side of the ball as it comes out of their forward line. They're getting players in numbers on the defensive side so that they've got options. And then when the job is there to be done, the key players are contesting the marking contest, and they've got the little players hitting the front of the packs, and they're just setting the play up. They're finding a player in space, and Chugg worked well then to finish that off.
And they've kicked 4 now against this breeze. And perhaps we underestimated the quality of North Launceston's football in the first quarter, because here they come again. Simpson after the tap. Olds, the good defensive fist. Real opportunity here for Millwood, has already kicked a couple. In towards full forward. North Launceston really threatening here as Glenorchy defend Gridley. Carr off the ground. That was sensible stuff. And will it find the line of no? Can Glenorchy mount something here as Carr kept going?
You've got one side playing attacking football and one playing defensive football. And Glenorchy just can't find an avenue to goal.
65 out from Glenorchy's defensive zone, and Jordan, who gets a bit of a clip round the ear from Chugg, will pick up a free kick. He feeds it off to McSherry, who's under pressure. His chip is in the centre of the ground, really putting his players under lots of pressure. Doing well there was Hartle. Hartle across to Newitt. Newitt goes long in the Byrne direction, and Byrne for the first time on a long lead has taken a mark.
Well, that was the first time today they've had a player running through the midfield at pace and in the clear to be able to settle and have some deliberation in his kick.
Byrne. Glenorchy desperate needing a goal. Normally a long, accurate kick. It's hit the post.
Well, there's not a lot of luck going their way. Simon Byrne is an outstanding full forward, and he really is their only chance in the forward line. He needs to kick goals.
Sanders from full back brings it in, looks for Kremer Scothen, who brings it down towards Proctor. Perhaps Proctor was the marking target, and it's been held in by Jason Hartle. Matthew Queen back playing football, which is great to see, and playing with Glenorchy, which is even better if you're a black and white fan. Of course, Queen been up in Queensland for 2 or 3 years. Desperate attempt to spoil from Mansfield, unsuccessful ultimately because Todman has the footy now. Kicks it towards the middle. Loon had to beat around 4 of them, couldn't do it. And there's a fight on behind play between Loon and also with Sherry. There you see it as Peter Barwick has the footy. Off to Ben Careless. His chance now for Queen as the fight's still going on. Queen in towards full forward. Knocked away by O'Neill. Here's Stephen Cox as the fight's broken up, which is good news. And we'll have a bounce with Glenorchy attacking, which has been a rare sight.
They need a goal here. North Launceston really good numbers back in their defensive half. Good handball, couldn't find anyone. Mansell spots a player in the clear, and it's Cremis Goethen who's done very well, been quietly effective. His long kick along the boundary line, looking for Lewis. Staying down well was Olds. Olds has got some space in front of him. Gibson's his target. Doing well against him was Harthill. Gibson's still there in control. He's got front position. His short handball didn't go anywhere. Harthill butters up nicely, so too does Carr. And his relieving kick sets up Mansfield for Glenorchy. He goes straight across the ground to McSherry, who's in some space. Glenorchy looking a little bit better in this passage of play. He's again virtually gone across the ground in Pyle's direction. Chug's hot on his hammer. Pyle does nicely with skills. Feeds it out in front of Barwick. Gets a good bounce. His centering left foot kick. Cox is his target. Proctor dropped what he should have taken. But doing well with Sanders. His left foot kick goes to no one. Barwick and Glenorchy still in there. Has a chance for Byrne. Byrne has a snapshot. And he's put it through. It's scrambly, but they got it.
Well, North Launceston can blame themselves for that goal because Proctor dropped an easy mark in the goal square, and then Sanders came out and chipped the ball inside the 50-metre zone to a crowded forward line when he had a player long as a longer option on his own. Number 18 there you see in Hawkins was the player he really should have aimed at. And Byrne, as easy as like, just balked around the player and put it through. So a lucky goal, but a much needed one.
Work from Stephen Cox in full forward because he was one out and looked hopelessly out of position. He made a bit of an issue of it, and North Launceston weren't able to clear it easily out of defence, and eventually the Magpies got it back. But North Launceston certainly fully in control here as Cremis Goethen with the torpedo heads to half forward. Here's Olds, who has been absolutely superb in the second quarter. Still he goes, Olds won't get a free kick.
I think if the umpire had been on the other side of the pack there, he probably would have.
Certainly the hand came over the shoulder. And Chris Smyth is very, very disappointed that that free kick wasn't given. Todman, 55 out, in towards full forward. Gibson, free kick, surely. Umpire spotted it. Umpiring's been pretty good in this game, really. And Gibson, from 30 out, has the opportunity to kick goal number 5.
North Launceston have worked exceptionally well in the pack situations, and their ability to find a player with hands out of the packs to get them at least a kick out away from that contest has been exceptional. And Gibson did well to hold his feet in that contest.
21 and a half minutes of the second quarter gone, which has so far belonged to North Launceston. And Jason Gibson has kicked his 5th. It could easily have been 7.
He's a very, very important player to them. And rather than playing just as a static half-forward flanker, he's finding himself working, now at least working across the half-forward line and more in the corridor of the ground, and sits himself there right out in front of goals. The free kick was clearly there.
North Launceston kicked 5 goals this quarter. Really doing well. Mansfield out of the centre. Charging through was Davies. He couldn't quite pick it up. Barwick scored very high. The umpire plays advantage. I think it was Stephen Cox. It's Ben Careless, in fact, who seized on the advantage and put through a very much needed goal for Glenorchy.
Well, their goals have come from opportunities. A couple of goals have come as a result of poor tackling. But Ben Careless did very well there to finish that off.
Glenorchy a bit more competitive in the second quarter, but Certainly North Launceston with its brilliant first term in control. Hartle out of the middle, gets it to centre half forward, and here's McSherry taking a mark, and I did him an injustice. It was Longman grappling with Loon about 10 minutes ago. McSherry towards full forward. Down the ground it comes. Davies, caught high, Sanders. McSherry again, did well, no, it was Careless who kicked there last. Adding to Barwick. Barwick from about 55 metres in towards full forward, and back taking an excellent mark. Really showed his strength there, David Rhys-Jones. He is a strong man for someone of his physique. He goes short and finds Adam Sanders. A few old hands down there. It's Rhys-Jones, Sanders, Craig Davies. The Robins looking a well-balanced unit at the moment. And another old hand involved, Steen Krimiskovic.
The old hands did very well as they moved the ball effectively up to the wing position, but Glenorchy, who picked up the tempo a little bit, here's a chance for Barwick. Under lots of pressure, his handball wasn't a clean one. Byrne tackles well, lots of players around the ball, and just as Mark Simpson cleared it, the umpire called for a bounce.
They look a much more organised unit, don't they? When the ball, particularly when the ball is in the contest.
Just lots of players around the ball today. There's been lots of packs.
Great to see cars at the footy, Smythe, isn't it?
It's just appalling, isn't it? It really is appalling. If Barry Breen could do one thing, it would be to remove the cars from the ground. But Sherry was ridden into the ground. He does nicely. Feeds it out wide to Careless. Careless feeds it backwards to Hartle. Hartle wasn't quite sure what to do in the end. He chips it to Byrne, who takes a very strong mark overhead.
Does that indicate a lack of confidence, Bob? The fact that Hartle from 40 metres could have had a shot, and first option not to try and kick a goal, but to look to someone else?
Well, I think that they're very conscious of the ability of Simon Byrne at full forward, and he didn't let them down on that occasion. In fact, because of the delay in allowing him to get up and take his kick, he's now going to kick from the goal line. And I know this has nothing to do with this, but last year when we broadcast a game here, there was a Ford Falcon parked right next underneath the scoreboard there. It was the only car on the ground. They got rid of that one. It was white too.
Byrne from point blank range kicks his second goal, and Glenorchy's fifth.
It's a little bit disappointing, really, because I think that most people would have expected Glenorchy to be a bit better than this. They're relying on 2 or 3 players to keep them in it, and they need a contribution from some more players, particularly around the midfield.
4 goals each in this. No, I'm wrong. North Launceston have kicked 5. Glenorchy have kicked 4, so we'll scrap that all together. Here's Mansfield and Struthers, was it in the centre of the ground? Good one-armer taken there by Jason Hartle, who started on the bench and has been a fair contributor since coming on. Heads in towards full forward. McQueen, who really should have hung on to that. O'Neill slips over, gets it back towards Hawkins. Hawkins up towards the wing where Longman charged at it. Here he goes again, Longman. Has players in support. It's Pyle who's been busy on occasions. Lucky kick in the forward pocket has found a teammate here, Stephen Cox. Not without a chance from around 55.
I'd love to count the number of players who have fallen over in their approach to the ball and caused a turnover.
Yes, Rick Finlay's giving us those statistics at half-time. Here's Stephen Cox with an important kick. Who knows, the Maggies could be back in business. 5 goals each in this second quarter, and they've come with a bit of a burst in the last 5 minutes or so.
Well, it's a good goal from Cox. It was a wonderful kick, but Anthony Loon on the wing had clear control of the ball, slipped at that vital stage. The ball was turned over. Pyle, as she called, has been a good contributor, as has Cox, just on his own in that forward line. Well-balanced kick. So they're just creeping back. Still a long way to go, though.
Oh, I think they're back, Bob. Wayne Monaghan at half-time. A few people will ring you up, I think, to put some money on Glenorchy. North Launceston answering the challenge now as they move from the centre line. Holmes does nicely on hands and knees to feed it out to Carr. Carr couldn't quite trap it. He paddles along in front of him. Hot in pursuit was Mansell. It's across the line.
You mentioned about them coming back. the last quarter, I think, is going to be a telling point because Glenorchy haven't played for 3 weeks, and that might tell in the last quarter.
In their favour or against them?
Against them.
Time will tell. Lewis rose very nicely in the Chug direction. Chug, had it and then just dropped it. Pressure again. Gibson's thrown out of the pack. Pyle does well. This way, that way. Eventually clears the ball into the centre of the ground. Burns the target. Reece Jones punches it as all good defenders do from behind. Picking up nicely was Dunstan. Dunstan with a long handball backwards. Sets up Hawkins. Hawkins in turn looks for Sanders. The Glenorchy players there in numbers. Proctor with good hands. Gives it across to Simpson. Simpson, he was looking for Chug, but chipping in was McConnell.
Who heads out wide towards the wing. Half-time imminent. Here's Jason Hartle. Looking to create something here, Hartle. Long hand pass in the middle. Which way will it sit? Kindly for Pyle, who's a clever player. Pyle, long high kick to half forward. The Magpies need a mark. Mansfield going with the fancy stuff. Not applicable here. Careless in towards goal. That might have been handy. It dribbled a long way. But it's gone through for a behind, and anything under 4 goals would have been an acceptable result for Glenorchy at half-time, considering they were at one stage down about 8.
Well, they've done very well, particularly in the last 10 minutes. North Launceston seem to have taken their foot off the pedal.
And you can't be too cocky about these things as Mark Chug receives, makes a bit of an error. Who's that? Jordan could have gone harder at it. Eventually finds his teammate here in Newitt, who's lost it. Turnover could be costly as now North Launceston can mount something. Wes Lewis, good hand pass out to the running Dunstan. He's an exciting type. He looks like a stall gift winner. Look at him go, bouncing round the outer terraces, in towards full forward. He can't beat the siren. He beat just about everything else. But at half-time, North Launceston have a 5-goal advantage. Could be worse for Glenorchy. There you see it, 11-6-72. The Magpies 6-6-42. I don't think David Rees-Jones would be quite as pleased as he would have been 15 minutes ago when North Launceston looked to have absolute control of the match, but still, with a 5-goal break and kicking with the breeze in the third quarter, they are sitting very pretty.
They're going to be going in at half-time with a good lead. A 5-goal break is always a good lead, and particularly here at KG5. But as you see, the Glenorchy players on screen there, they're pretty excited about it because they really did make a comeback in that quarter, and they certainly have made a game of it. There was a time early in the second quarter where we felt that it was going to slip right away from them, but a few more players chipped in. Cox made a contribution. Pyle was pretty good. Mansfield started well early, but Todman closed him out again. So David Rees-Jones, I think, will be disappointed with the number of times that they've fiddled around with the ball. They were very good in the first quarter by being direct, one handball to a running player, but on this occasion they mucked around with it, and I really cannot understand the number of players out there on this particular ground, more so than any other ground, who have got short stops.
Like to put a stop to short stops.
Well, I think you'd have to.
Clarence absolutely killing Launceston, 16-12 to 2-1-13, but what of the other matches? That is pretty predictable. North Hobart 7-6 to Sandy Bay's 5-7. New Norfolk 5-6 to Devonport's 3-5. The last time those two met was in the preliminary final last year when the Eagles ran rampant. And South Launceston 5-7-37, Hobart 2-6-18. The Bulldogs might be on their way to their first win of the year, Bob Keddie.
It looks that way, and they're always very hard to beat at Youngtown. Always played well against Hobart at Youngtown.
They weren't when you were coaching, Bob.
11-6-72 North Launceston, Glenorchy 6-6-42. 5 goals in it here as we have the Hobart South Launceston blockbuster score on screen. We might take a break for a little while and come back with what promises to be an interesting second half from KG5.